All right, it's pickups video time once again. The last one that I did was from Congo down at Retro Games Plus in Newington. So it's been a little bit of time, but to be honest, summer isn't usually my best time for game hunting. Money tends to be a bit tighter. Working in the education system and not working during the summer means that things are a little tight. But today, I had some store credit to work with, thanks to some trade-ins of some old 360 games and a Kinect camera. I do want to send some thanks to Gadget Depot, formerly Game Depot, and the manager there, Diego, took good care of me today. Set me up with some store credit that I put to good use. So let's go ahead and get started. This first game is actually a double, and the reason that I picked this up was because the copy of the game that I have, the label is in really bad shape. I actually picked this same game up from Game Depot just after I got my Nintendo 64, and it's been the same copy that I've had for a while, but I wanted to upgrade. I've been looking to upgrade for a while, and I finally found a good copy of the game today. This right here is NBA Hang Time from Midway for the N64. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best home version of the game that you can get. The PlayStation version has some iffy animation. The Genesis and Super Nintendo versions are decent, but not quite as good. So if you find this and you happen to have an N64 still at home, make sure you pick this up. This is really solid, and I'm glad to have a decent version of this game to play. In fact, I played it today with a distant relative of mine and good friend Sam. We played it at his house, and we had a couple of really close games. It was really enjoyable to play. This next game I have never played. I have never owned it, in fact, when I had my N64 originally or after I picked up another one years later. This game is called Buck Bumble, with one of the more catchy theme songs that you will ever hear, and that's really what drove me to buy it. When I saw it on the store shelf, I realized that I didn't own it. And I believe it was Pro Jared that did a video talking about his top 10 bees, and, you know, Buck Bumble being a bee, it made sense to talk about that, and he did talk about it. So a bell went off in my head when I saw the game, and I figured I would pick it up. I don't have any information about the game. I have not played it as of yet, as I just bought the game today, but I'll probably post some impressions on Twitter or something when I finally do get around to checking it out. This game is a game that I probably should have owned by now, but I haven't, mostly because it's still fairly pricey, and honestly, I don't see it in the wild too often. I do have it on the Wii, playable, but I figured that having the cartridge also made sense just in case my Wii goes south and I'm not able to access my digital games anymore. This right here is Paper Mario, which is the unofficial kind of sort of sequel to Super Mario RPG. This game's a lot of fun, has some humor in it. I like the look of the game. That 2D look always appealed to me. It was the same kind of thing that Parappa the Rapper used and Jammer Lammy used. That 2D technology where the player or the character can move and you really can't see them. I thought that was pretty neat. The game pokes fun at the Mario universe, makes some in-jokes, and it is just an enjoyable RPG to play with some timing-based puzzles or elements. So this was a cool find. It was on the store shelf right out in front, and Sam, who was with me, actually pointed it out and said, "Do you own this yet? You should buy it." So I took his advice and I went ahead and snapped it up. So that's 3 Nintendo 64 games. I have not bought an N64 game in a long time. In fact, I haven't touched my N64 in almost a year, so now I have good reason to go back and check the system out once again. Okay, you guys are going to laugh about this, but you have to understand that sometimes bad games I have to buy, especially if they're cheap, just to check them out for myself and see how bad they really are. Enter Catwoman for the Gamecube. I really wanted to find the PS2 version instead, but I couldn't find it, so I figured I would pick this up. $4 wasn't even the price that I was charged for it. I know nothing about this other than the fact that Game Informer played it for one of their replay segments a while back. I never got a chance to watch it. I have heard that the game is pretty bad, almost legendarily bad in some situations, so I'm looking forward to trying it out for myself and seeing whether the legends are true. So this, by the way, does have the manual and everything, so it is a complete in-box GameCube game, and those are becoming less and less easy to find these days, so it was pretty neat to find it. All right, this I bought more as more to complete it than the fact that I didn't own the game. This is an NBA Shootout 98, and I believe that that's Hakeem Olajuwon on the cover. I had this game just disc only for whatever reason. I don't understand why. But now I finally have the game with the case and the manual. On the inside, there's nothing really too exciting. The game is just in a black and white color setup. I always had an issue with the Shootout games in terms of their gameplay schemes, the way that the buttons were set and you couldn't change the button assignments. So it takes some getting used to. It's different from Live, and it's certainly different than NBA 2K. But the NBA Shootout series tried its best to hold its own against Live during the PlayStation era. And keep in mind that 2K wasn't even a thing yet, so it was really either NBA Shootout or Live. Those were really the two big ones. There was also Fox NBA, which was originally going to be ESPN NBA Tonight, but that wound up getting changed at the last minute. So again, I do own this already, but now I have it complete, and actually the disc is in pretty good shape, so that loose double is probably just going to go away. And big surprise, here comes another sports game. This one I did not own, however. This is NBA Shootout 2002 with a Suns player on the front. By this point, the PlayStation has already been replaced by the PS2, so these are basically just roster updates. But because I'm a big fan of sports games, I do tend to collect these. There's not really much to see on the back cover. The features are pretty slim. Put yourself on any floor in the NBA, so you can create yourself in the game. There's total control, passing, shooting, and switching. Straight up NBA action with signature dunks. Bring your game, not your manual. So there's a bunch of one-touch player controls. So basically this game is supposedly easier to play than most. So we'll see when I actually get a chance to play it. This game, the case isn't in the best shape, but the disc was, so I figured I would go ahead and pick it up. I have not played this. This is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, it looks like. I have played the Harry Potter games on PS2 and Gamecube, but not on the original PlayStation. So this will be interesting to see how this plays, whether it's any good or not. There's the back of the case. Again, it's difficult to see because of the laptop glare. But I'm interested to try this. It's funny because Cinemark is running a big marathon of Harry Potter movies in advance of the newest Fantastic Beasts film. So I've had Harry Potter on the brain as of late, and it just so happened that I stumbled across this game and got a pretty good deal on it. Again, I have no information on it. I haven't played it myself, so we'll find out how it is when I finally get around to playing it. This is another double. This was picked up more as a case and manual edition than anything else. This is Twisted Metal 4, which, again, just like Twisted Metal 3, has moved away from single track at this point and is being developed internally by 989 Studios. I've played this a little bit. I actually got this game loose from GameStop when they were running one of their retro flash sales. I played it very briefly. I don't have a big opinion on it or anything, but I had collected all of the other Twisted Metal games because I happened upon a Twisted Metal long box copy, so I started adding the other games to my library as well. I have most of them. I think the only ones that I'm missing are any on the PSP, because I don't have that, and also Twisted Metal for the PS3. So now I have this, and I will look forward to playing it more at some point when I get some more spare time. This is not a double, however. This is something that I saw and immediately caught my eye. I don't know whether it's because of the current times that we live in or whether I had war games on the brain or whatever it was, but this is a game for the Sega CD called Third World War. Now, I know nothing about this. My only link to something like this would be war games for the ColecoVision, or there was also a war games for the PlayStation, which was almost like a Return Fire kind of setup. This, based on what I see on the back of the case, looks more like a strategy game, and I don't know how much I'm going to like about this, but Sega CD games, especially in as pristine condition as this is in, are tough to pass up. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the foam on the inside, but the manual is all here. It's in pretty good shape, and the CD is in great shape. So hopefully I'm going to like this, but it's another addition to the Sega CD library, which has been kind of sort of building up every once in a while, and I'm glad to add another game to that library. So those are the games that I picked up from Gadget Depot. I did pick up a couple of others, but unfortunately the wrong games were put in the cases, so I've got to bring those games back, and when I do get them, I'll go ahead and I'll share them in a later video. So I mentioned that I hung out with my relative, my buddy Sam, who has a huge collection of his own. I think I have talked him into shooting a game room tour. I hope he does, because he has a lot of great games, and a lot of them are complete. You'll be very impressed when you see it. Sam is the guy back in 2012 that helped get me started on my collecting path. I had just moved back to Massachusetts from Arizona. I was kind of not sure where I was going to go in terms of my video game playing. I was frustrated with the 360 and PS3 at the time. I was thinking that I really wanted to go back to playing retro games more. And Sam actually hooked me up with a Super Nintendo system and Donkey Kong Country and Legend of Zelda for a really low price. So it was obviously a bro price because we're related. And since then, we've been partners in collecting ever since. He tends to jump on more deals than I do. And his library is amazing. When you see some of the stuff, and I'll try and share it on Twitter when he goes live with it, when he gets time to do it, but it's really, really cool. I have to tell you that now off the top. So he was great to me tonight. He set me up with some doubles that he had, and I got them for nothing. So Sam, thank you very much, sir. I really do appreciate these. So let's go through these really quickly. Frogger is a game that I didn't play much in arcades. I wish I had, but at the time it was 1981. I was 9, and it was just not a game that leapt out to me, no pun intended, as much as it would in my later years and my adult years. I did play the coin-op in arcades when I could find it and when I grew up, but really my experience with the game has always been on game consoles, starting with the Atari 2600, and then the 360 version is also pretty good. I did get the Sega Genesis version of the game. I don't really have too much information about it, but I also got now, thanks to Sam, I have the Super Nintendo version as well. These are more patterned after the original arcade game rather than the any kind of original takes on it like the PlayStation Frogger and Frogger 2 are, so that makes me happy. At least the idea kind of reminds me of the Super Nintendo release of Mr. Do, which is basically an emulation of the arcade game. I believe that this is the same kind of thing. I hope it is, because the original Frogger I've actually gotten better at as I've aged, so that's pretty neat. I also got this, and I've never played this. And I know, shame on me, but I've never played this. Thankfully, I'm going to have the chance to, because I believe that this is Xbox One X compatible. This is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Now, I've played Oblivion. As a matter of fact, Oblivion was one of the games that I bought today, but I got the wrong copy in the case, so I've got to go back and make the change. But I played Oblivion before. I have been tinkering with the special edition of Skyrim on the Xbox One of late, because my new 4K TV makes the game look phenomenal. But I've never played Morrowind before, so I've heard LGR, Clint from Lazy Game Reviews, talk about this game a bit, but I've never played it personally. I didn't even play it when I had my own Xbox, so now I'm going to check it out and see what I've missed over the years. So Morrowind, I'm looking forward to playing it. This does have the manual, and the disc is in great shape, of course, because it was from Sam's collection. Or Sam's Doubles collection, I should say. So I'm very, very happy about that. Two more things to share. I want to do this one first. This is a game that Sam recommended to me. He asked me if I had it. I said no. He said you should try it. I said okay. This is a game called Let's Tap for the Wii. Now, on the back of the case here, it says, on your mark, get set, tap. It's a new way to play games. There's no complicated controls to learn. Simply place the Wii remote on a flat surface and tap your fingers. I can do that. I play track and field that exact same way. Now, granted, I'm probably not going to have to hammer on the button like I do for track and field, but I think this game could be pretty neat. And again, he set me up with this for nothing, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. Again, thank you very much, Sam, for looking out for me. It is greatly appreciated. One last game to share. I have this for the PlayStation 2, and I think it's a decent game on its own, but I've always wanted to try it on the Gamecube, and now I finally can, thanks to Sam. This is the combo of Pac-Man Versus and Pac-Man World 2. Now, I've never played Pac-Man Versus before. I'm going to try it even though I don't play with other players. I know that that's pretty much pointless. He even warned me the fact that you should be playing it with multiple players in order to really get the general gist. But I'm also happy to have this because Pac-Man World 2 is a decent platformer. It doesn't break any new ground, but it's a decent platformer that builds on the Pac-Man World 25th anniversary game for the original PlayStation. Anything Pac-Man, just because of when I grew up and the fact that Pac-Man was such a phenomenon for so many years. I always was terrible at Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, but I always liked that universe. I liked the characters, the ghosts, also the cartoon series when that was on TV. I used to watch that every Saturday morning. I ate the cereal, for goodness sake. So Pac-Man has been in my life for a long time. So anything Pac-Man I like to have. I have Pac-Man shirts. So now I can play Pac-Man World 2 on my GameCube. And if I get some people with a Game Boy Advance link cable, I can play Pac-Man Versus with them as well. So that is a look at what I got today. I did pretty darn well. Got some doubles that I've been looking for, got some new games that I haven't played before, and Paper Mario, of course, is a nice addition for my N64, one of the big ones to cross off the list for the console. The next video that you will see, which will be coming probably tomorrow night, which would be Friday night the 16th, or over the weekend, will be part 2 in my series about Madden versus NFL 2K. I have the 2004 Sports Year ready to go, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about those next time. But until that time comes, my friends, thanks very much for watching. See you later.